the work of the bishops, the work of the Catholic Church in the United States is focused on people who are in need wherever they are. And in the case of immigration, I think we all know that immigrants can be found everywhere. Now, the border becomes the focus in some way because that's where we see the greatest numbers. That's where our policies that are rather broken are revealed as broken in a certain sense because of the visible problems that arise at the border. But the church is concerned about immigrants wherever they are and about the people who are forced these days to immigrate from their homes. So the problems that happen before a person is an immigrant that makes their life untenable where they are. It makes them live with the constant atmosphere of threat and lack of ability to provide for the basic needs of their families. So we're concerned about it wherever it is. The church has always been about the work of charity, right? And we don't have resources that we're not independently wealthy. We depend on contributions, and sometimes we can also be good collaborators in a sense with the work of the government. We can do what the government wants to do for to respond to the basic needs of people better than they can. And so the government has found it useful to have contracts with us. There's no situation you'll find in which the church is at work doing charitable work where the money that we receive, donations for that purpose, are not also being used. And when the project is done, the money is gone. You know, I think in all of our lives, we find things that are not working the way they should, and it doesn't lead us to just give up. It leads us to do what we can within the system, but also to work to improve it. If our car isn't running the way that it should run, we might not have the time to get it fixed immediately. We deal the best we can until we can get it into the shop. And I suppose that would be a helpful analogy, perhaps, with the immigration system. The problem is that we've been having to drive a clunker for a good while, and we would love to see the day, the year, when our legislators really take on this vexing issue and really establish an immigration system that is orderly and respects the human dignity of every person in their particular circumstance. Open borders has become kind of a political trope, but the fact is that a border needs to have a certain flexibility to be able to allow people to leave and to come, just as it allows goods to be sent, be exported, and imported. So the thing of greatest value in our world is the human being, and it has to allow that movement too. I don't think any one of us would disagree that there needs to be movement across borders. We all can agree that we want an orderly process by which people are able to receive a visa when they have a need to come and work, when there's a need on our side of the border, or when they themselves are fleeing to be able to find a place of refuge. That's just what human beings do for human beings. I think it's sad when that word is thrown around too generally, because trafficking is a terrible violation of the human person. It's making the person as though they are a thing to be used for the benefit of others. And especially when that implies a sexual abuse, that it's one of the most horrible misuses of a human person imaginable. But even if it's for forced labor or something like that, it's modern day slavery. So to use that word in general, and especially to apply it to people who are working with those who have come to us at the border or in another part of the country, seeking refuge, fleeing from an unlivable situation in their own place, to use that of those who assist them in their circumstance is a terrible misuse of a very serious word and a serious problem. There's so much that Catholics can do in their own local circumstance, and it really depends on the individual what they might be able to do. Of course, one of the most important and powerful things we can all do is to pray for those who are in need. And if we're speaking about people who are among the poorest of the poor, as Mother Teresa used to speak of them, then those prayers are so essential in our life. But another thing we can do, and I think it might sound like it's small, but simply go out of your way to meet an immigrant. And when you feel like they're comfortable enough with you, when you've had a chance just to share some pleasantries, ask them about their life, just as you would any friend. Let them tell you their story. If you do that, you'll be overcoming some of the terrible barriers that are separating us from our brothers and sisters. You'll begin to humanize a situation. It still will require us to come up with policies and practices and laws, but you'll be basing it on a true knowledge and a compassion for people who are suffering. And as a Christian, we can never put those aspects of the relationship aside. We will never come up with a good solution unless we're acting out of love.